You know what's strange? Some of the most perceptive, emotionally intelligent people you'll ever meet didn't develop those abilities through books, classrooms, or years of meditation. They developed them because, at some point in their lives, they had to. Not the dramatic kind of difficulty you see in movies. The quiet kind. A house where the mood could change in seconds. Where a normal dinner could suddenly turn tense. So your nervous system learned something early: how to read the room, how to predict what was coming, and how to keep things from getting worse. Over time something unusual happened. You became the calm one. The friend people call during emotional breakdowns. The person who stays level when everyone else spirals. But here's what most people assume. They think emotional stability comes from peaceful childhoods. But psychology suggests something different. Sometimes it comes from learning how to survive emotional storms. Psychologists have started calling this traumatic intelligence. If you've never heard of it before, that's exactly why this video matters. Here's the psychological idea behind it. Trauma doesn't only wound people. In many cases, it also sharpens them. Developmental psychologists have noticed something interesting. Kids who grow up in unpredictable environments often develop a heightened sensitivity to emotional signals. Social cues, patterns most people never notice, and the nonverbal communication happening beneath everyday interactions. Their brains, specifically the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex, get wired early to detect subtle signals most people completely miss. The result is a form of intelligence that looks almost invisible from the outside but runs incredibly deep on the inside. Your emotional intelligence wasn't taught. It was trained. Once you understand that, a lot of things about you start to make sense. The first sign is that you read a room before anyone says a word. You walk into a space and something shifts inside you. A quiet alertness. You pick up on tension in someone's posture. A micro-expression that crosses someone's face for less than a second. Most people miss those signals. You don't. You feel the tension before it becomes visible. You always have. Because when you were younger, noticing those changes mattered. It helped you prepare. Sometimes it helped you stay safe. That's not mystical intuition. That's pattern recognition your brain practiced thousands of times. The second sign is that you sense what others need before they do. You notice when someone is struggling even when they say they're fine. You feel the shift in someone's energy before they have processed it themselves. Psychologists sometimes call this hyper-empathy. It often develops in people who grew up needing to track the emotional states of caregivers closely. You learned to feel others because your environment required it. But here's the part most people never hear. The third sign is that you stay calm when everything falls apart. When things collapse around you, something in you becomes quiet and focused. You don't freeze. You adapt. Researchers call this stress inoculation. Your brain became calibrated for high-stakes situations because high-stakes situations were simply your normal. The fourth sign is that you think deeply about human behavior. Almost compulsively. You analyze why people do what they do. You replay conversations in your head. You search for meaning behind actions others barely notice. This wasn't random. It was shaped by years of trying to understand the unpredictable behavior of people around you. You became a student of human nature because understanding people felt essential to your survival. And this is where it's worth pausing. Everything we've talked about so far, the perceptiveness, the empathy, the analytical mind, the calm under pressure, these are not weaknesses disguised as strengths. They are real cognitive and emotional adaptations. They show how responsive the human brain is to experience. Your brain didn't just endure difficult environments. It learned from them. So let's keep going. Because the signs that follow reveal something even more interesting about how this shapes who you become. The fifth sign is a strong sense of self-reliance. You don't wait for people to rescue you. You figure things out quietly on your own. This sometimes surprises people who know you. But developmentally it makes sense. When the environment isn't reliably supportive, the brain learns to internalize resourcefulness. Dependence feels risky. So competence becomes the default. The strength people admire in you today was built during moments when you had no other option. Here's where it gets interesting. The sixth sign is that you feel things more intensely than the people around you seem to. Music hits deeper. Injustice affects you on a visceral level. A small act of kindness can genuinely move you. This emotional depth is a hallmark of traumatic intelligence. Repeated emotional activation can make the amygdala more sensitive over time. The result is someone who doesn't just observe the world. They feel it at a frequency most people rarely experience. The seventh sign is that trust takes time. But when you do trust someone, it's deep. Your threshold is simply higher than average. This isn't cynicism. Psychologists call it adaptive skepticism. Your brain learned early that not every signal of safety was real. So it built filters. Those filters sometimes feel isolating, but they often lead to connections that are more honest, meaningful, and resilient. But the story doesn't end there. The eighth sign is a complicated relationship with rest. Slowing down can feel uncomfortable, almost unsafe. When things get quiet, your mind tends to wander inward and not always gently. This is the nervous system doing what it was trained to do. Stay alert. Psychologists call this conditioned vigilance. The irony is that the very intelligence trauma built often requires conscious effort to relax. Learning to rest for someone with traumatic intelligence becomes its own form of healing. It tells your brain the threat has passed. The ninth sign, and maybe the most defining one, is a deep sense of meaning. You don't move through life casually. You've looked closely at pain, your own and other people's, and something inside you refuses to let it be meaningless. Research on post-traumatic growth, studied by psychologists Richard Tedeschi and Lawrence Calhoun, suggests that many people who navigate serious adversity develop a clearer sense of what truly matters. In many ways you may have learned wisdom earlier than most. So here's something worth sitting with. Traumatic intelligence isn't something to celebrate while ignoring the hardship that created it. The sharpness is real. But so is the cost. Hyper-awareness can be exhausting. Feeling deeply can be heavy. Learning to relax can take time. But none of that erases the truth. The human brain isn't only damaged by hardship. In very real ways it can also be transformed by it. The perceptiveness you carry, the empathy you extend, the way you analyze the world. Those aren't coincidences. They are the architecture of a mind that had to grow quickly and did. So the real question isn't how you got here. The real question is what you choose to do with the intelligence you built along the way. Because some people grow up comfortable. And some people grow up perceptive. Those two paths lead to very different kinds of wisdom.